Welcome to Cyber Materials Ask Me Anything Cyber, a fun, interactive weekly event for everything cybersecurity. Join us every week at noon Eastern Time for a high-energy, quick-hit recap of the week's biggest cyber stories, from data breaches and threat intel to major legal updates. Whether it's a high-profile hack, a new APT on the rise, or a must-attend summit, we've got it covered. But that's not all. We'll also break down the latest job market trends, share our thoughts on cyber stocks, and give you actionable insights to stay ahead. And of course, we wrap things up with what makes this show special: live Q&A with you. Have a question about a breach? Want to know how a threat works? Curious about getting started in cyber? Let us know and we'll answer it live. Without further ado, let's get this event started.
Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hi.
to another episode of Ask Me Anything Cyber. I'm here with my co-host Prapti. Thank you for joining us today. How's it going?
It's going great, and I'm really excited to talk about how to protect the internet at scale today, and looking forward to talking to our very special guest.
Yeah, I'm so excited because you're gonna get to see a side of the internet that everybody hears about it, that they've already been hit, like
Yeah.
brand impersonation, phishing, or even scams at scale. So that is exactly where companies like Bolster AI come in today, and they're using AI to detect and take down these threats before they're spread. So joining us today, we have Rod Schultz, the CEO of Bolster AI. So welcome, Rod.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rod. How's it going?
Really, really good. Yeah, how are you guys?
We are great, and I'm excited to hear all about it, Bolster AI, and everything that behind the scenes, right? So to start us off, I would like to go back to when you joined Bolster in 2024. What actually drew you to the company?
The thing that really kind of gave me energy when I started taking a look at the opportunity was the rise of AI generated fraud. When you
Hmm.
start to take a look at how the landscape has changed ever since ChatGPT was initially released in 2022, the ability to duplicate and distribute anything that looks semi-authentic, it dropped, right? The level of effort, the cost, the expertise required to do it. And this really started to open up a brand new attack surface, which is the brand name, image, and likeness, that turns into a very nice gateway or an attack surface that is projected on customers. So that was, for me, that was the one that really drew me.
That's great. And I know those things are very important, but for those who actually might not know the company well, what problem is Bolster AI actually solving, or like they're fixing in the market?
So we identify the exploitation of brand name, image, and likeness for our customers. We have a lot
Mhm.
of large customers that people probably interface with on a daily basis, small, medium businesses, emerging market customers. But everyone is faced with the same challenge, which is, how do I create a presence in a digital environment and prevent that presence from being duplicated and exploited? I like to call this like a shadow attack surface. That attack
Okay.
surface is proportionate to the size of your brand, your name, your image, and your likeness, the assets that you have under management, the velocity at which you can extract something from the customer, and it's projected onto the customer. So what Bolster does is we run a catch and kill campaign for our customers. We
Mhm.
find these exploitations of brand name, image, and likeness, then we take it down. So we find it on web, we take it down. We find it on social media, app store. We have a phishing product that subscribes to phishing emails that are forwarded to us, fake app store apps, anything that someone could exploit to pretend like they're you to try and trick your customer into interacting with them.
Yeah, and I noticed that you have a very strong technical background across companies like Cisco, Apple, Zoom. And how has that influenced Bolster, and what has changed since you have joined?
Having so I came out of engineering. My first job out of school was at Cisco, where I helped kind of build the backbone of the internet. And at that time, protocols and were still being developed. We were still working on kind of the foundation of what we take for granted today as this like very solid, very well understood network. And from there, I went over to Apple to help build something called Fairplay, which is a system to protect music and movies as they're distributed out and enforce a business model. But throughout my career, what I've done is I've been able to go down to the grassroots level or to like, the very, very detailed level, and then pull back and go to the high level and start designing systems around it. So coming in with that background, I was able to move quickly and kind of absorb and understand rapidly at the detailed level, but also at the satellite level view of what was going on. What we've done at Bolster since I joined is really move a bit away from just catching and killing, and we're
Mhm.
evolving the platform so
Hmm.
that we can actually move into prediction. So what we've done is we're utilizing a lot of information that we find on a daily basis, and we're connecting it in ways so that we can give our customers not just the street level data view of, hey, this is what we found and this is how we've taken it down. We want to pull back and give our customers almost like that the satellite level view or the a detailed view from a weather perspective and say, hey, listen, this is the weather that's in your neighborhood. This is the weather that's in adjacent to you, and then this is the global weather
Hmm.
seeing when it comes to fraud. We are seeing the connection of fraud and cyber. People who are running cyber attacks are running fraud attacks as well. They're using the exact same infrastructure to do it.
Mhm.
And we're giving our customers the ability to visualize that and then move their resources in advance to try and protect their customers.
So from what you're saying, and it gives me like an idea, like we know that there are a lot of players in this space, right? And it gets very crowded. So what's the
Yeah.
difference between Bolster AI and the competitors?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the biggest challenges with this space is that the barrier to entry is very low for someone to come in. And so you're seeing people entering this market. What we have is we have over 7 years of data that we've collected. We were the first movers in this space to use artificial intelligence when it came to cybersecurity. Back in 2006 or seven, I mean, about 6 or 7 years ago, when the co-founders initially created the company, the security community laughed at Bolster for using artificial intelligence. Today, if you're not using artificial intelligence, if you went to the RSA, conference in San Francisco a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago, like you were lost. Nobody wanted to talk to you. So we have first mover advantage. We have a lot of innovation with data, a lot of innovation with large language models, small language models, with our detection engines. What we're doing with some of these advanced scrapers, and what we can also do with some of these advanced agents that can go out and crawl for us using OpenClaw and other aspects of it. So if we combine that with world-class customers, the relationships we have with them, the insights we get
Hmm.
from them, we are starting to understand what we need to do in order to make that more powerful. And then at RSA a couple weeks ago, we announced a major partnership with Akamai. So
Nice.
Akamai released
Congratulations.
Hmm.
something called Brand Guardian, and that is powered by Bolster. This gives us a very huge strategic opportunity, not just on their points of presence. They have over 1,200 pops in their CDN network, but it also gives us access to proprietary data that we can then use to create a sharper and better scalpel for going and finding that fraud for our customers and taking it down.
Yeah, and you also mentioned something about that. You tell people about the weather. Let's call it the cyber weather
Yeah.
and the weather adjacent to them and also the global weather. So you understand a bit of patterns. So can you tell me what is the most common attack your platform is seeing today?
Some of the patterns that we see right now are they're moving away from, hey, this is a typo squat, where,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 5 years ago, the goal was to get a website that was like a misspelling of a common bank or a misspelling of a
Yeah.
common
Yeah.
e-commerce site. What we're finding today is that the URL doesn't matter. And what they're running is sophisticated marketing campaigns against the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So they're creating an email phishing campaign, an SMS campaign. They're running a social media campaign, and they're
Yeah.
funneling the victim down. So rather than setting a single trap at the URL level and hoping that they mistyped into their browser, they're
Yeah.
literally running a very advanced marketing campaign utilizing the technology that has been advanced over the last 20 years as social networking and basically the entire consumer economy has tried to figure out how to get people to spend more. They're utilizing the exact same weapons against unsuspecting consumers and hoping that they will then start to fall prey for these very sophisticated marketing campaigns that look very authentic, very real, and take advantage of consumers in weakened states.
Yeah, and I know that what you mentioned that these are like organized, we can call it like organized
Yeah.
attackers, and they are coming with platforms and everything. And we've seen like a shift now from attacks to infrastructure. Now is attacks on people, employees, or customers, right? So why do you think is happening, and why it's so successful?
I think it's happening because it's a very weak attack surface, and it's big. With
Hmm.
Akamai, we spoke about when I was on stage at RSA about the human edge. Over the last 30 years, as we've seen cyber evolve, it went from this simple firewall
Hmm.
to, okay, IAM. How do we do zero trust? How do we start to move that security from the core of the network out to the perimeter, from the perimeter out to the edge? And what the attackers are simply going after is the weakest gazelle in the herd. And at this point,
Yeah.
the weakest gazelle is the exploitation of the brand image and likeness, and using that to trick somebody into making a mistake. They're literally just going after the best ROI that they can get. And right now, with the tools and the cost of these tools, which are almost zero, they're
Hmm.
deploying these attacks, constantly.
So I would like to know, so does this make it more sophisticated, the attacks, or does it make it more scalable?
Yeah, I would say it makes it both. We see all kinds. So some of the attacks are what I would call copycat attacks that we've
Uh-huh.
seen, time and time again. We do see some very interesting, sophisticated attacks that will get replayed. So in the past, what you saw was the cost of the attack was so high that it had to be aimed at the enterprise
Yeah.
because to get the return on the investment, that the code, the infrastructure that needed to get deployed, they had to go after the big names.
Yep.
Today, it's very simple and very inexpensive for them to
Yeah.
reskin and retarget. So they may go actually from enterprise down to SMB up to mid market. And they might just start to cycle through mid market as they start to hone these attacks and these techniques, and then really start to go after a large bank or a large financial institution. Crypto is always at play, depending upon the
Yeah.
headlines and what's going on. And these are fascinating things for us to watch because we don't know how the weather is going to change, but we know it's going to
Mm-hmm.
change, and we know it comes in different forms that we've seen in the past.
And there's just like something that it goes on the line of what you're saying now with AI in the mix. Do you think that these attacks are more advanced?
They're incredible. It takes literally something that took maybe like 4 weeks. You can probably do it in less than 8 hours today.
Wow.
Mm. And what about like fighting AI with AI? Like, why do companies need to start doing that?
They have to start doing it because
Mm-hmm.
the people who are on offense are using artificial intelligence to attack. And right now, the system is out of whack. It's imbalanced because criminal enterprises always have first mover advantage when it comes to utilizing new technology because they're very clever. And in
Yeah.
order for them to survive, they have to utilize the latest and greatest technology. So what we're seeing is the people who are attacking and running, these campaigns are far more advanced at scale, at precision, at deployment, at shifting techniques, and the world is really struggling to catch up. As we kind of like alluded to at RSA, AI was the topic of conversation. If
Yeah.
you had asked me 5 years ago, will artificial intelligence have an impact on cybersecurity? I would have said maybe in some ways. I never could have predicted what we're seeing today, because this is the most powerful technology I've ever seen in my almost 30 years in this industry.
Yeah.
It's revolutionizing, it's transforming, for the good and for the bad. And right now, criminal enterprises are using it in a very, very sophisticated manner.
So as you say, like we know that like how automation and AI are changing like the good and the bad, like both sides of the equation, we can say. So my question here is, are we heading like towards AI versus AI with minimal human involvement?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think humans are always going to be involved, but they're going to
Hmm.
be elevated at what they're doing. I think a traditional, cybersecurity responder or SOC analyst, those
Hmm.
jobs are going to be commoditized, because they're doing simple pattern recognition that can be kind of matched with an AI. What you're going to start to see is what I would consider more conducting,
Hmm.
by the cybersecurity industry rather than instrument playing. And what I mean by that is, hey, look, maybe 10 years ago, you had to be really good at one specific job and you were constantly monitoring, almost like you were playing an instrument. I think
Hmm.
in the next, 12 to 18 months, what you're going to see is people who are very cyber savvy, with understand the ability to go from abstract down to concrete, do a deep dive on, a very, very interesting
Yeah.
incident, and then pull back and then start conducting again. And the reason that they have to do that is because the attackers are bombarding them with so many different, projectiles, if we want to call it that.
Yes.
They're
Hmm.
going to have to be able to pivot quickly, assess, and then move on to the next thing.
Hmm. And what do you think is the biggest mistake that organizations they constantly keep making if they treat fraud and brand impersonation as individual incidents versus campaigns?
I think the number one challenge they're going to see is they can't scale. Just
Yeah.
like the weather,
Hmm.
hey, I could probably create a roof for my house if the
Yeah.
assumption is it's only going to rain, a couple times a year at very low volume. The
Yeah.
challenge is that these weather patterns have an interesting feedback loop to them. And what happens is once the attacker understands that it's an effective attack method, they double down and triple down. And what we're seeing is that organizations just can't scale to the size of the fraud, the frequency of the fraud, and the precision of the fraud. So maybe 5 years ago, again, this is the AI, tailwind that we talked about at the beginning. Enterprises would say, "Hey, look, I can do that on my own. I'm going to have this problem owned by brand and legal, or by design." Today, the problem is migrating up to a security-minded buyer because
Hmm.
that security-minded buyer understands the need to scale security and to scale these protections.
So I know we talk about like getting some questions from the audience. So we have one question on Substack here is asking, do you think companies are investing enough in protecting customers from impersonation scams? Because sort of goes with your question, Prapti.
Yeah.
I would say probably not. The majority of like buyers, let's just say in this space, or companies, are still going through this transformation of the let me do it myself to I need to bring in a world-class tool in order to do it. This again is our tailwind. This is why we're seeing fantastic revenue growth at Bolster,
Hmm.
because savvy, leadership, is starting to understand that the human edge is now their responsibility. Traditionally, in the past, CISOs have been fired when 5 of their employees were phished. They were not fired when
Hmm.
500 of their customers were phished. We're
Yeah.
seeing a change, in perspective here, and expectation of who needs to protect who.
Okay, and then we do have another one, and it's about like for a smaller company without a large security team, what's the first step they should take to protect their brand from phishing and impersonation attacks?
From a solver perspective, I think you need to have basically a playbook. And
Mm.
that playbook needs to decide, okay, how are you detecting things? Who do you call when you detect it? And how do you remediate it?
Yeah.
And at that point in time, okay, great. If it happens once a year, then you're probably doing just fine. If it starts to spike, or you start to see, more sophisticated fraud, or the fraud is actually impacting your customers in a real way, and you have the feedback loops there to tell you, well, then,
Yeah.
all right, now you need to start potentially bringing in a point solution, potentially using some tools that are free, We have a product called Checkfish that we provide to the open source community, to detect whether a URL is a phishing URL
Is
or
a
an email
phishing.
is a phishing email. So there's a lot of kind of semi-free tools out there that you can use, and then scale that up as the fraud starts to increase.
Okay, and I know probably you may have one more question.
Yeah, I was going to ask what should people stop doing immediately because, I feel like sometimes people get a false sense of safety and security about it. So, what should people just stop doing immediately when it comes to cyber safety?
First thing is, in a world where we're constantly distracted
Hmm.
and our attention is under attack, we need to take a second and say, listen, the number one thing you need to realize is that there is massive asymmetry on an
Yeah.
inbound to your SMS, to your email, or to your social media accounts. The assumption we make is when we get an email or an SMS, that person knows us and we know them. What we need to assume is that when it came in, actually, I don't know that person just because they have a bit of information they could have scraped,
Mm-hmm.
or they guessed that I was going on vacation this month, and they're telling
Yeah.
me that my hotel reservation is going to get canceled.
Yeah.
That's just a probability play that they're throwing at you and hoping that they got you because it's in the month of June, July, and August. You're in the
Yeah.
northern hemisphere and you're probably going on summer vacation. So the
Hmm.
assumption is like, look, they're going to capitalize on the limited
On
amount of time you
habits.
have
Mm-hmm.
to respond and habits, and just don't fall prey to those tactics.
Mm-hmm. That's a good advice. And looking back at everything that we have discussed today, from brand impersonation, phishing to AI-driven attacks, and how the defenders are responding today, if people have to take one thing from this conversation, what should it be?
I think from our perspective, it's going to get the weather is going to get crazier before it gets better. That's my advice. And be prepared. Be prepared for things to come that are unexpected, and have a process in place so that you can start to scale up your response as the attacks scale up.
That's amazing. And thank you so much, Rod, for your insights. And thank you for joining us and walking us through how threats are evolving and how Bolster AI is tackling them. So, for everyone watching at home, we do have here a QR code so you can visit Bolster AI website. You can learn more from them. You can get access to the platforms, participate on the open source community, and visit them in London, right? You're going to be
Okay.
next week.
Yep, we'll be at INTA in London starting on Sunday. That's the
Mhm.
International Trademark Association. This is a very interesting space because trademark is really trying to catch up to AI, and the impact and the blast radius that AI is creating when it comes
Yeah.
to trademark infringement, intellectual property. And what do you do as
Yeah,
regulations are very slow and they cannot keep up with the speed and the
true.
advancements of these frontier language models?
That's amazing. So everybody go to Bolster AI website to visit to learn more about their participation in London. Check their booth number and visit Bolster AI to learn more. So thank you again, Rod, for your time and very much looking forward to where Bolster AI is doing to protect all of us.
Great, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Really, really, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye
All right,
bye.
see ya. Bye.
So here we had Raj Schultz. He's the CEO of Bolster AI, an amazing platform that is fighting phishing scams, impersonation attempts with AI, one of the pioneers out there. So happy to have Rod, right, Prapti?
Yeah, it was actually really amazing. And he kind of made it very clear that the weather is going to keep changing. And hopefully, we are getting ready for it because, as he mentioned, we need to keep fighting AI with AI. And hopefully, the blue team AI is better than the bad guys. I really hope that. And
Yeah.
before we go to like some other segment, I know that you're excited to talk about what people should be aware of and what enemies we should be protecting us from with our Know Your Enemy section. So before we begin that, let's watch a quick video.
Every cyber attack has a face, from malware and scams to the actors behind them. Know your enemy. Stay one step ahead.
So today for Know Your Enemy, we have a cybercrime group called Red Line Stealer.
Yeah.
It's not a, I'm sorry, it's not a cyber group. It's a threat.
Threat.
actually,
Oh.
that has been used by several cybercrime organizations. So, for those who don't know exactly what red light stealer do, it's a threat that actually affects regular people every single day. But I bet that you haven't heard of because it's not a famous ransomware gang. It's not a famous malware in which that like locks your computer or puts like a big warning on your screen.
Yeah.
It's just a thread that stays quiet. You may never even know that it was there. So this is what makes it dangerous and is good for everybody out there to know about the red line stealer. Um, this specific thread is designed to do exactly what the name says, steal information. Things like your safe password, credit card details, browser history, even your crypto wallet, like seed phrase, email logins, social media accounts, and even session cookies that we have talked in the past before about those
Yeah.
famous session cookies, right?
Getting
So
hijacked. Yeah.
exactly. And that's what is important here because sometimes attackers don't even need your password. If they steal your active session, they can just run right into your account like they are you. You know, we've seen
Wow.
cases where attackers were stealing session cookies from Facebook accounts. They were able to log in because they were using those tokens. So
Yep.
this is what this thread actually is doing now. So how does it happen? It usually starts very simple. It gets into your system like any like anything that you download like a trojan. You
Mm-hmm.
download something that looks like a normal software. Maybe it could be like a free version of a paid program that has been impersonated, or maybe a fake game cheat code or browser
Yeah.
extension, or something like update your PDF reader or your crypto wallet. So it may look like seamless to you, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end, you're just downloaded a red line Trojan runs silently in the background and is going to be sending the information straight to the attacker. So it creates a connection with your computer, a backdoor, and it's going to be communicating all your personal information. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there's no warning, there's no obvious sign that you have done it, just stolen access. And whenever you are going to figure it out, it's going to be too late because the information was already passed on to the attacker's servers.
Attacker.
So
Yeah.
now, people were made thinking like, well, I'm not a big company. What they're gonna target me? Because that's what they do. They attack the small, like the small individual.
Businesses.
Yeah, no, the small person, like the
Oh.
individuals. They attack like single targeted individuals. They don't go
Oh
after
no.
big whales. They just go after you. So, for example, it's very important because um, access to your email can reset all your passwords for other accounts
Yep.
or your social media accounts or your banking. So you need to be like careful that just like by giving them access to that simple small of information, they can access all your digital life. Now, what are my advice regarding this threat is to be careful when you're downloading software from um, unknown services. For example, if you're
Yeah.
trying to download Notepad++, check is this the legit website or 7-Zip or any other software that you may want to install in your computer. So for you to know, they mostly attack Windows system. So if you are running
Mm-hmm.
Windows computer, you may be a target. Now, we know that sometimes the most dangerous cyber threats are not the loudest ones, they're the silent ones because
Yep.
once they're there, it's very like it's too late already to realize that something is wrong. So it's very important to keep an eye on legit softwares that you're downloading and make sure that what you download is coming from a legit source.
Yeah, and it's I think a bit more deadly because like they kind of do this over time, and over time your account is compromised. And also, another thing I would say that you mentioned that just be careful about downloading, like Notepad plus plus.
Yes.
But like we can do another thing is that keep updates.
Mm-hmm.
Like through our the cyber briefing, like you can actually stay updated, or any other newsletter for that matter of fact. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that at least you will be able to know if there is something actively that there's a warning. Like Notepad did share a warning that, hey, you know what, if you click on this update, it's possible that you're gonna get hacked. So updates like that are very crucial, and it is very important to stay up to date. And I myself use Notepad, and I did not push the
Yeah.
update. No, it asked me to because I knew about it. So that those are some simple ways to protect yourself, and I think that's really great.
Yes, yes. And every week we're gonna bring you a new threat actor, malware, or anything out there that is targeting regular users, not only cyber professionals. So it's good for you to actually know your enemy.
Yeah. And before we go to our cyber briefing recap, I would like to tell you guys about the Echo Party Miami. We had a guest, we spoke with him. It was a very amazing conversation. And it is happening on May 21st and 22nd. And you've got a 15% discount on tickets to make it even easier for you to join. And keep in mind that this won't be a typical conference, it's about real world threat, cutting edge research, and even hands on insight that all come together. We've had a speaker from there, and we had a very nice conversation, and he told us how people are getting serious about
Yeah,
cybersecurity. And if you're serious about staying ahead in this space, learning from people and connecting with the community, this is your place to be. So all you
true.
have to do is show up there on May 21st. Tickets, you can scan the QR code to get the 15% discount on the tickets.
That's great. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing all of you there. And I'm gonna be moderating a panel about women who hack the
Yeah.
industry. So happy to be part of this like panel where we're gonna be talking about
Yeah.
what is happening in cyber and in South Florida. So for our next segment, and this is something that we've been doing for quite some time, we're gonna be going through the cyber headlines of the week.
Yeah. And before we do that, let's look at a quick video of what it's about.
A new cyber briefing is here. Same essential insights, now with sharper headlines and a much better flow. Get the latest on the threat landscape, incidents, and the real-world impact with executive risk and cybernomics trends. Stay informed on new policies, numbers, and the latest moves for your career in cyber. Whether you're on LinkedIn, Medium, or our new home on Substack, get the briefing that keeps you 2 steps ahead. Check out the refreshed edition and subscribe today.
So this is a free newsletter, so everybody's welcome
Mm-hmm.
to join. And it comes out every weekday, Monday, Friday at 10 a.m. with the latest cybersecurity headlines. We have included new segments like career
Yeah.
enablement and executive risk, which mostly help us include more data for you, as opposed to before
Mhm.
that we only had a limited data. But now we're including career movements, what is happening, any new cybersecurity course, certificate, conference, or anything that can advance your career. And from the executive risk side, those are for the CISOs, CIOs, or
Yeah.
CTOs that wants to know what is going to be happening next and you should be aware of. So, for our first segment today, our first headline, and this is something that has been making waves in cybersecurity, and it's very scary. It's about a phishing campaign targeting Robinhood users. Now,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, Robinhood is the place where you can buy stocks online. It sort of
Oh.
democratized the Wall Street
Yeah.
idea for the regular man, and but they've been targeted by a campaign that is going around where attackers are sending fake emails that look like they are coming directly from Robinhood, and that's what makes it this so dangerous. What is happening is that users are receiving messages saying they have detected a suspicious login activity on your account or review your recent activity,
Yeah.
and the email looks legit, like completely real, same branding, same formatting, and even official looking standard addresses in some case. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
goal is simple, is for to create panic, right? So whenever you
Yeah.
receive an email saying a suspicious login attempt on your account, especially accounts that have money, right? Like
Yeah.
you sort of panic, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh no, what happened here? I didn't log in. So they want you to feel like your account is at risk. So you will click on the link without thinking, right? And that
Yeah.
link doesn't take you to Robinhood. It takes you to a fake login page designed to steal your username, password, and sometimes your even two-factor authentication code.
Yeah, this is exactly, I think, what was Rod was talking about today,
Yes.
about brands getting impersonated like to the T, and people just fall for it.
Yeah, and what's making this attack like more advanced is that usually that is like a version of a scam that is actually abusing Robinhood own email system. So they're actually the ones sending the email with that phishing
Wow.
link in the in the body of the email. So that means that the emails they will look more legitimate than a typical phishing attempt where you will be able to spoof something real, right? Because they will pass normal security checks by Gmail or Outlook or any of your email provider, and they will appear that they're coming from the real infrastructure from Robinhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the key takeaway for this is like, even if an email looks official, you should never click logins directly from it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, go to the Robinhood app or type the website manually and try to log in back into your account. Sometimes,
Yeah.
when you receive a suspicious activity login from legit emails, you get a button saying review your activity
Yep.
or copy this link in your browser, so if you don't want to click on the button. So sometimes that link will sort of give you some sense of like this is a legit um like email,
Yeah.
and it sort of will give you like the heads up, right?
Yeah. And
But
also, like,
again, this is
yeah.
very sophisticated, right?
Yeah, and people will click it. Because they will say that you can check your activity. I think people will click it because of it's like easy.
Yep.
And people will just click it because they will be like, yeah, let me review it really quick and protect my account.
And the thing is, like, you are scared. Like, if you receive a suspicious
Mm.
activity, like somebody tried to access your Robinhood account, you're like, oh my goodness. I mean, how many times happened to you that you receive an email like suspicious activity, but it was you the one doing it? So you're
Yeah.
like, well, not that a big deal. But what if you were not the one doing it and then you receive
Yeah.
that email and like somebody's trying to access my assets?
Yeah.
Like, what I need to do it right away. So you panic, you don't think. You wanted
Yeah.
to solve
Easy
it
to
right
fall
away.
for. Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's very
they
scary.
typical like scams that we've been talking about, they work with a false sense of urgency.
Yeah.
So they sort of like make you like do things fast so you don't think about it.
Yeah, and this is getting more sophisticated and as the days go by. Also, like, I think there's something that has caused some real world impact here because the Microsoft Outlook.com had
Oh,
access issues.
yeah.
So what happened there?
So this is like another like important thing I can say, because what happened here is that like the Microsoft Outlook access issue, it's very like we can call it an incident, because they Microsoft has finally acknowledged that there was a service integration affecting Outlook.com, with users like experiencing difficulties to access their email address. And this was dating back to April 2027. So it's been
Mm-hmm.
like 3 already that people were having issues like accessing their Microsoft 360 account or their Microsoft Outlook. Um, and the users have reported that they were like intermittent failures to load their inbox, or delays on email delivery, or completely inability to access the webmail interface.
Wow.
Now, what happened here? This outage, it was part of a broader pattern of instability within the Microsoft 360 service that has persisted as like at the beginning of the year. I remember there were a few outages. Uh, and I think it was like in January there was an early this year there was like a significant disruption that impacted multiple services, including Outlook, Microsoft Teams, Defender, and
Uh-huh.
SharePoint. And but the current issue may be associated with this, and it has been classified as a service degradation,
Oh
including
no.
that while some core functionality was impaired, the service was not completely online, even though there were users complaining that they were not able to access their email address, right? Now,
Yeah.
to mitigate this issue, Microsoft advised the affected users to follow specific like steps. For example, they will have to they will have to contact them with the issue, open a ticket, and follow,
Yeah.
able to understand who was affected by this issue, the extent, and if it only affected particular set of users. And and but again, there was like a little bit of discomfort from users because
Yeah.
they were able to access their inboxes.
Logged out. Yeah.
And so far, like, Microsoft hasn't said exactly what happened, if it was like a threat actor or was an internal issue.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know.
What do you think it was?
I can tell because they've been having this like intermittent like disruptions since the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Said anything if it was a threat actor or they have any issue with the infrastructure or
Mm-hmm.
cyber threat. We don't know.
Yeah. I guess
We
we'll find out if we keep having more issues. I think
Yes,
people
or
will
we
start
may
questioning it.
not know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And about the next one, I think there's an incident report that was released for the AI. And we spoke a lot about AI today and how we're going to
Yeah.
combat AI with AI. So
And I
let's
think
talk
we're
about
gonna
this.
keep talking about AI for the foreseeable future. Because as Rod mentioned that at RSA
Yeah.
everything was AI, 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 AI.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna keep hearing about it. So this is a report by Proofpoint. They just released the 2026 AI incident report, and it's showing where cybersecurity is heading next. And I wanted to like talk about this headline because it's part of our cybernomics headlines where you
Uh-huh.
get to see some numbers and to understand where cybersecurity is standing right now. It could be in the financial market or in the adoption market.
Uh-huh.
And what this report actually found out is that AI adoption inside companies is moving way faster than AI security. So I want to make the difference here. AI adoption could be like using ChatGPT to compose
Mm-hmm.
emails or to synthesize notes or to analyze specific data, but not
Mm-hmm.
in the AI in the sense of security and cybersecurity. Now,
Yeah.
this report have seen that AI tools are being like incorporated in the companies faster than AI security tools. Now,
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be, something that people do out of convenience.
yeah. And because the technology is there and everybody is adopting
Mm-hmm.
AI tools for the inside for the employees. Now,
Yeah.
we talk about numbers. 87% of the organizations have already deployed AI assistants beyond just testing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like AI assistants, like helping
Mm-hmm.
employees day to day life. Now, 76% are rolling out autonomous AI agents, meaning that they can actually take actions and not answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
But the report talks about a specific problem. Even though companies are rushing to use AI, more than half of them are not confident on the security controls of
Mm-hmm.
these AI tools if these AI systems are compromised. Because we're not talking about AI security, we're talking about AI tools for management, for automation, for,
Mm-hmm.
like tools that internal employees they use to
Yeah.
alleviate their tasks or they expedite or they improve their tasks.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about the security of these AI tools. I remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about the McDonald's chatbot, AI chatbot,
Yeah.
that was able to leak the full database of people that they were applying for jobs at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we're seeing that companies are implementing AI tools without
mm-hmm.
thinking about the risk, the security,
Yeah. So
without
there
like,
are certain questions that they should be asking, right? Like what data is this AI storing? What are the security controls? Who can access this data? I think companies do not ask this question enough.
yeah. And from this report, they say that, like, even though they're rushing to start using AI tools,
Mm-hmm.
more than half of the companies interviewed, like, in the survey, they said that they are not confident in the security protocols that the AI system has. Now, from this pool of survey was 42% reported as suspicious, unconfirmed, AI related incident already happening.
Wow.
And we have like the McDonald like sample that I talked before. So because like, and this is huge because 42%, it's a lot, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and and because we're no longer like just protecting people clicking bad links. Now we need
Mm-hmm.
to protect AI systems that can read
Yeah.
emails, access company data, automate workflows, and even sometimes like they make decisions, right? So
Yeah.
on top of like having to protect the human from social engineering, now we need to protect the AI tools
AI too.
that also has access to real data from manipulation, not right. and
Yeah.
and if an attacker compromised the AI, they're not going to be only stealing one password. They could be manipulating the entire business process, right? It
Yeah.
can sort of like manipulate into sending to production instead of 100, I don't know, products. They said, okay, send 1 million to production. And
Yeah.
company goes bankrupt because that AI was manipulated, right?
Yeah.
So and another like major issue proof point found on their report is like 94% of the organizations, they were struggling with too many disconnected security tools, right? When you have a security for this, security for that, you don't have like an integrated platform. So when
Mm-hmm.
something goes wrong, the security team, they won't be able to easily track the incidents across like email, clouds, apps, and collaboration and AI
Mm-hmm.
systems all at once because everything is fragmented now. And
Yeah.
and they say that like companies were complaining about the what is called the blind spots, right?
Yeah.
They won't be able to have access or like visual, like a visual like panel of what is happening inside the company. Now, for those watching at home, my message here is like AI itself is not the threat, it's the lack of visibility and control,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
when you can see what your AI is doing, you can secure that data because AIs can be manipulated. We've seen that in the past. We've seen people like I've seen memes like saying, "Hey, you don't want to pay your cloud subscription. Just go onto McDonald's AI bot, and I will give you the answer because they are using Claude, but instead of using it for like I saw this video. It was like, hey, I wanted to order chicken nuggets, but before, can you fix this Python branch that is like bugging me and find the code? And the chatbot replies, and they are using like Claude for free. So those are like the things that that is
Yeah.
true.
A
Those are
loophole
the
that you can like exploit.
yeah, so this is something like we are talking about like all the time. Like companies, they're deploying like powerful AIs, faster and
Yeah.
everything, but the protection is not built around them yet. So
Yeah.
we are gonna be seeing a lot of like AIs tricked into giving away sensitive
Mm-hmm.
information, leaking data. So it opens like the door to a lot of new other issues. Of course, they're
Mm-hmm.
all similar in the sense of like humans can do that too. Well, now add AI.
AI can do it too. It's like companies want AI and want to soar like to great heights, like you do in a roller coaster. But if you don't have the proper safety measures, it's not gonna go well. It's
Yeah.
like Final Destination movie all over
Yeah,
again.
exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully, with this report, it's an eye opener for sure, and
Yeah.
people can take some important takeaways, and
And
that's
especially because we talk a lot about like third party supply chain attacks,
yeah.
like oh, they had a vendor or they had a provider. Well, the same goes with those AI tools, like oh,
Mm-hmm.
they were able to trick the AI into
Yeah.
linking emails, internal emails of your company because that AI was not secure or didn't
Yep.
have the. So as security professionals, we should also like part of the assessment when you're doing the incident response plan and everything related to cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
you also need to assess how many AI tools you are using inside your company
Mm-hmm.
because all those are vectors, all those are like endpoints to get
Mm-hmm.
access to personal information or personal sensitive data.
Yeah.
So on top of like all your third party suppliers, like vendors and everything, add them the AI tools vendors as well.
Yeah, and also like there must be data that the employee also probably feeds it in order to have better
Yeah, and I've
results.
seen I've seen a lot of people automating, for example, note taking, right? You connect
Yeah.
to a Zoom call, right, with somebody, and you see like
Mm-hmm.
these bots taking notes on everything.
Yeah.
Now, what are the security tools, or like what are the security measures of these
Mm-hmm.
like note taker that you put that is not gonna leak my notes out there? Now,
Yeah.
may not have the security in place, and then you're just a Google search away of leaking all my notes
Yeah.
because there was not security, right? So those are the things that you also need to consider. So if you hop on a call and you don't feel comfortable that the AI tool they're using for note taking has the security protocols in place,
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be like have the right to say, well, I don't want to like to have these notes, like,
Disclose, yeah, or
exactly.
disclose information that could be used,
Mm-hmm.
because this people might think, why would it affect me? But like your experience, and you have shared it with us so many times, that people who know where to attack are always listening, and
Yeah.
they always probably know that you're
Yep.
a target. So
Yep.
it's best not to disclose, and I think people should have the choice, if they are not comfortable with an AI taking notes, to like
Yeah.
not
Or any other
opt
tool
for
for
it.
that matter, right?
Yeah,
Because I've
exactly.
seen like so many tools like, hey, integrate this app with your, I don't know, email inbox so we can summarize all your
Yeah.
emails. I'm like, do I want to do that? What if they hack this company? They're gonna get access to all my emails, right?
Yeah.
And
And
then
I
they,
don't need it. It's okay. I'll read
yeah,
it manually.
yeah, and I read like in the past, and I don't want to name companies, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there's been an app going around that checks your, don't name it if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They've been checking your grammar, your spelling. That it was an application that you downloaded on your computer, and
Mm-hmm.
the thing is like they all ping to their servers, and they were storing all your information there. So
Mm-hmm.
what if somebody accessed their infrastructure and they were like having access to all my draft emails or things
Yep.
that I even sent?
Yeah. It's pretty scary where
Yep.
things are heading to. And it's like a roller coaster without a seatbelt. So let's hope that the seatbelt gets stronger and stronger over time. And we are able to get better with
Yeah.
changing technologies. And that was a very amazing conversation to have with you, Sophie, with the three
And
headlines.
I always want to tell, like, for those watching, if you want us to talk about a specific like threat actor or threat or malware or even like these amazing like reports that we have
Yeah.
today, please send them over. Happy to talk about it. Happy to have this conversation and to move the conversation forward and to move cybersecurity to a better place.
Yeah, and thank you so much for joining everybody on Substack and on LinkedIn. We had an amazing conversation with Rod, and I had an amazing conversation with Sophie. And before we take our leave, I would like to encourage all of you to subscribe to the Cyber Briefing newsletter. It's a refresh version, and you'll get stories, insights, and all updates straight to your inbox. I think one of the things that is going to be very valuable to you is going to be the career segment, where you can actually learn about how the career is shaping, and what you should be focusing on. Just make sure to scan the QR and subscribe. And the last thing I would like to talk about is the Diana initiative. We had such an amazing conversation with the ladies the other day, and they spoke about so many things that's going to happen. But I think one of the key takeaway was that it's a diversity driven conference, and it's the goal is to create a more inclusive information security industry. The event is on May 30th, and I think there is a $5 ticket, and you can obviously support them. There's also a 2-in-1 deal going on for students, and they can easily avail that. All you have to do is scan the QR and go and check out their event and support them.
Okay, yes. So looking forward to seeing you there. There's going to be a CTF too. So if you want to join,
Yeah.
yes, the Capture the Flag competition is going to be fun. And for our next event, we may not have an event next week, but we'll see if we're gonna like maybe we can talk about like know your enemy, or maybe the cyber headlines. We could just write a poll out there if you want us to have the show. But
Yeah.
our coming confirmed guest is going to be Yayash Chauhan.
Mm-hmm.
He is a founder of Club Village. It's an organization that it's been going around for quite some time. You may have seen them at DEF CON, at B-Side Charms, and any other cybersecurity event. This is a very cool community, and I want everybody to watch and learn more about them, how to volunteer, and join their call for papers that are opening soon for DEF CON.
Yeah, I'm really excited to join. It's on 28th of May, and we're going to see you again at the same time, which is 12 p.m. EDT, and we're going to be live on LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube. Feel free to join, drop your questions, and we are going to learn about who is behind Cloud Village with Jayesh Singh on 28th of May.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Bye, Prapti.
Bye. Bye, Susie.
Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for our next Ask Me Anything Cyber, a fun, interactive weekly event for everything cybersecurity. Join us every week at noon Eastern Time for another high-energy recap of the week's biggest cyber stories, from data breaches and threat intel to major legal updates. Whether it's a high-profile hack, a new APT on the rise, or a must-attend summit, we've got it covered. But that's not all. We'll also break down the latest job market trends, share our thoughts on cyber stocks, and give you actionable insights to stay ahead. And of course, we wrap things up with what makes this show special, live Q&A with you. Have a question about a breach? Want to know how a threat works? Curious about getting started in cyber? Let us know and we'll answer it live. See you next week.